feeling real unmotivated. The lights and the camera have been on and set up for like 2 hours, 3 hours, and I've just been dittering around the house. So it does not bode well for getting through this entire TBR that I'm about to show you, but why not? Hey everybody, it is 2021. It is a new year. Shake off the old 2020, put on the new 2021, and let's get to some reading. So this is my TBR to be read for January 2021. I'm repeating myself. See, just not on my A game today. Oh well. So my first 3 books are my buddy reads. If you have not yet, be sure to join my Discord server. There are 3, count them, 3 buddy reads this month. There will not always be that many, but that's just how it worked out in January. A lot of people wanted to read stuff together. So one is the Year of Short Classics read. One is just a monthly buddy read that I'm going to try to do on the Discord. And the third one I actually had nothing to do with. A couple people just organized it on my server, and I was like, hey, I want in on that. So I'm going to talk about those first, and know for these first 3 books, definitely you should join my Discord server so you can talk about it all through the month whenever you are reading it. If you don't know what Discord is, it's basically just like a really easy way to chat and talk with other people. Typing, not voice. You can do voice, but you don't have to. I don't want people to feel, scared about joining the Discord. Anyway, first up, let's talk about just the regular buddy read. The classic Once and Future King by T.H. White. Now, if you don't know about T.H. White, this is sort of the modern classic of the Arthurian tale. So obviously a lot of the Arthurian mythos goes back a long time. It's part of long-running Norman and Saxon legend, as well as some Frank legend, kind of all mixed together. But T.H. White in the 1930s and 40s wrote sort of the modern distillation of all these different myths. Obviously, La Mort d'Arthur is like the oldest, most classic poetic form of this, but the most prose form of this is The Once and Future King by T.H. White, also the most English for sure. If you've seen the cartoon, The Sword and the Stone, that Disney did back in the 60s.
And I thought you were going to amount to something. I thought you had a few brains.
First book in this collection, the Once and Future King is actually a collection of 4 different books, is The Sword and the Stone. It's basically an adaptation. The movie is an adaptation of that story. I already started it, as you can see. I've been surprised at the tone. It's actually quite funny and a little, not quite absurdist, but a little ridiculous. And in fact, there's a couple of Monty Python-esque jokes through here. Like one knight always says hail to people, and people always respond with some version of, no, it's sunny outside. So if you like sort of silliness, but also there's an epic feel to it, there's a grandeur to it. I'm not going to give a whole review of it here, obviously, but The Once Future King, we're talking about it on the Discord. Check it out. Speaking of classic tales, the first book in our Year of Short Classics in 2021 is perhaps the classic as far as epic poetry is concerned. This, along with, well, the Iliad and the Odyssey, which we are also reading, Beowulf by someone we don't know. We are reading specifically the Seamus Heaney version. Of course, you can read anything you want, but if you want the actual word-to-word, what we are going to discuss on our channel, it is the Seamus Heaney translation. Now, if you don't know about my Year of Short Classics, all this year, each month I'm picking up one classic that is on the shorter side, somewhere between 100 and 300 pages, and I'm going to invite a co-host on to join me for a live show and discuss the book. This month, we are joined with a true expert in the field that we are talking about. Beowulf is obviously an Old English poem, at least the version that we have, and we actually have a professor of literature who speaks Old English, and I think has read at least part, if not all, of Beowulf in Old English, Dr. Philip Chase. You probably follow him on YouTube, but he's going to be our co-host. We are probably going to shoot for January 27th. I'll confirm the date a little later and let you know on our Discord as well as on the channel, and schedule that to have our live show. But be sure to check out Beowulf. I'm definitely going to check it out. It's fairly short, and obviously because it's poetry, it's shorter words per page. And also, I don't know if you can tell, but even, I mean, this is not really an intimidating length, but even, I don't know if you can see that, half the page is actually in Old English and the other half of the page is in modern English. So it's like the actual words you're going to read, unless you're reading the Old English version, is half of this. So join us. Let's try to get in touch with some real roots of fantasy here. The third and final buddy read on the channel for January is going to be Persuasion by Jane Austen. In March of this year, the short classic book is going to be Northanger Abbey by Jane Austen, and a couple of people on my Discord were talking about how excited they were for that, and what Jane Austen they had read, and which ones they liked the best, and a lot of people mentioned that Persuasion is a short Jane Austen one that not a lot of people have read, but a lot of people spoke well of, and so we thought, let's pick it up. It's another, as you can see, very short, classic feel. I like Jane Austen, but so far all I've read is Pride and Prejudice, the one that probably most people have read. Loved it, but I'm excited to try another Jane Austen and then prepare us more for March when we do Northanger Abbey. So those are our 3 buddy reads. Again, the Discord link down in the description below. Click that and you can join Discord. It's a fun time and it's not like there's commitments. If you don't like it, you can always leave. But you're going to like it. It's just people who read talking about the books that they read. Now we're going to go on for a couple series that I'm going to continue on in January. I don't think I'm starting any new series in January as I'm putting in some time with books and series that I'm already in. First off, starting with The Expanse. I've already started this on audio, but I just got the actual physical copy the other day from the library. That is Abaddon's Gate by James S.A. Corey. Book 3 of The Expanse. I'm really enjoying this space opera. Normally, as you guys know, sci-fi is not my thing, but maybe as I get older and my tastes change, I'm liking sci-fi more and more. Or maybe this is just a very good series, or maybe both, who knows? But I've been enjoying this. Like I said, this is the 3rd one. I'm not going to talk much about it because if you haven't read the first 2, I don't want to spoil anything for you. I am also on the 3rd book of Anne of Green Gables. This one is called Anne of the Island. I've already read Anne of Green Gables, obviously, the first book, and then Anne of Avonlea, which is the second one. And this 3rd one, I think she goes to university. I'm not 100% sure. I never read it, but I think that's what this is about. And I think it's supposed to get a little more romantic in this one. So I'm excited to continue on in this series. Just so joyful. It's another book that I read both audio and sometimes the physical copy of. Not at the same time. Let me know in the comments if you're one of those people who do it at the same time. I don't really understand that, to be honest, because the reason I like audio is I can do other things with my hands while reading. Anyway, that's neither here nor there. Anne of the Island, going to be read in January. And I'm hopefully going to finish the Chronicles of the Black Company, which is the first 3 books in the Black Company series. In December, I read Black Company and Shadows Linger. Is that the name? Yeah, Shadows Linger, which is the first 2 books of the Black Company. I really enjoyed Shadows Linger, the second book, much more than the first one. The first Black Company I really appreciated and saw the value in, especially in how influential it's been on the fantasy genre. But it wasn't like I wasn't jumping out of my chair to read it, but it was good and it's relatively short, as you guys probably know. It's like 200 pages. The second book is much more focused and I found much more enjoyable and got to know the characters a lot more, and it gave me a lot of momentum heading into the 3rd book, which is called The White Rose, which is what I'm going to read in January. Again, I won't say too much because I don't want to spoil the first 2 books, but I'm excited to get this done. Also, I'd highly recommend this omnibus, by the way. It's the first, like I said, 3 books in a single book, and this is normally like $15. So it's a lot of good fantasy at a good price, and it's by Tor, so it's quality as far as the binding and everything like that. So would recommend. Also, 2 other series that I'm going to continue on and try to finish books as I try to get through them. One is I read Promise of Blood in December, which is the first book in the Powder Mage trilogy. I don't have my review on that yet. I'm not sure if I'm going to do one. I enjoyed the historical aspects of it and the flintlock fantasy aspect of it. In fact, it was my first flintlock fantasy ever. And I was somewhat intrigued by the story, but overall, I found the writing left a lot to be desired and a little not interesting enough. But I did have enough interest to push through and listen to the Crimson Campaign, or start to read and listen to the Crimson Campaign, which is the second book in the Powder Mage trilogy. I think I still want to finish, probably because it's a trilogy. If it was any longer than a trilogy, I probably wouldn't go for it, but I kind of want to finish and just see how it ends. But that said, as soon as I got Abaddon's Gate, I abandoned Crimson Campaign. So I'm assuming that series, Powder Mage, over the next couple months is just going to be like one when I don't have the books from my library yet, or I don't have anything else to read or listen to. I'll just kind of throw it on and eventually I'll finish it. But it's on the TBR until I do that. Much more exciting for me is the next book in the Dresden Files. I read Summer Night in December, which is the 4th book, and for me it really changed the Dresden Files. It started getting into a larger story, and some of the developments in the wider world were much more interesting than they had been previously in the first 3 books. So I'm really excited to get into the next one, which I think is Death Masks. I think is the name of the 5th book there. So I'm hopefully going to get to that in January as well. I'm going to have to be doing a lot of crafts or baking or something, because I have a lot of audiobooks to read and listen to. I mentioned in a video a couple weeks ago, I forget what video actually, but I mentioned that I never read Neil Gaiman before. And a lot of people got on my case, not like in a mean way, but they were like, you should really read him if you like fantasy. So I was like, fine, but I didn't really want to like get a long one, to be honest. I wanted to maybe like squeeze him in as a short read between other stuff. So I got The Ocean at the End of the Lane, also a highly recommended book to me by Leanna, who loves Neil Gaiman. So I picked it up. It's another short little guy. Now that I'm done with like some of the massive series that I've been working on, I'm hopefully going to get to this month. I completely forgot. Another series that I'm in the midst of that I want to continue reading is the Witcher series, Sword of Destiny. Initially, I had just wanted to really plow through the Witcher books, especially after I read Last Wish, the first book, and loved it. You can see my review up above of that one. But unfortunately, I thought I had Sword of Destiny, which is the next book, but I don't. And so I have to wait for it at the library, which is a couple of weeks away, unfortunately. So maybe I'll get to that in January, maybe not. But once I do get Sword of Destiny and read through it, I do have the rest of the series. I went back and checked. I'll have to put that on a hiatus, unfortunately, for a little while. But as soon as I can jump back on that, I am going to jump on it quickly. So probably in February, I'm just guessing by my wait time. And that's it. I think it's a pretty ambitious January TBR, but it is cold here in Minnesota. Don't have a lot to do besides read and maybe ice skate, cross-country ski every once in a while. So it's a good month for reading. I'm going to get to it. Let me know what you're reading in January, what you think of my TBR. Like the video, obviously, share it, all that jazz. And of course, as I've been saying, I now started a Patreon that really helps me and supports the channel. So check that out if you haven't already. And first in, last out.